Pinto and Carlos Ramirez.
Oh, I thought you were any new holistic items for sale?
Oh, yeah. Here, this is a dream catcher.
Oh, a dream catcher. I'll buy one.
Yeah, these here are Cherokee hair tampons. They're like tampons made with all natural hair from the Cherokee people.
Ooh, a tampon made from Cherokee hair. Now that sounds natural. Native Americans are more in tune with the earth than we are.
Oh, yeah, we love the earth, man.
Oh, yeah, the earth is great.
Mrs. Broflovsky's son is a little sick. Perhaps you could bring him in tomorrow and you could give him some spiritual healing.
Oh, sure, we can do that, man. We'll give him like a brain enema or something.
Wonderful! Why don't you follow me over to the cash register and I'll take a deposit?
Do you have any more stuff to sell? We want to buy more stuff. Yes, much more stuff. Sure, we just gotta go back to our truck. I mean our horses and grab some more junk. Come on.
Goodbye, Native Americans. The spirit of Maya is with you.
Oh, yeah, you too, Junk.
It's funny.
Oh, hi, Stanley. Look, I'm buying you some more all-natural toothpaste.
You mean the stuff that tastes like acid and doesn't fight cavities?
That's right.
Look, I know that you all think the earth and its natural healing powers can cure Kyle, but the doctor at the hospital told me it can't.
Well, of course the doctor told you that because he wants to make money. Holistic medicine is about nature. $233. Everything's going to be fine, Stan. We're bringing Kyle in tomorrow to see the Native Americans personally.
Isn't it possible that these Indians don't know what they're talking about?
You watch your mouth, Stanley. The Native Americans were raped of their land and resources by white...
And if I knew how to my God, I mean, take the money that could be donated and given the nations to help the foreign and domestic and foreign affairs of welfare, sustainability in the agricultural and wildlife. on the swing,
Like us. And that has something to do with their medicine because
Enough, Stanley.
nobody wants to listen, Kenny.
Same thing all over again with the economy. Maneuvering mostly through average performance ranking the top 1,000 companies listed on the website. just be able to come out of Christian Dior because the euro is almost twice as much as the dollar, and that brings my cash. It's not probably twice, it's probably like 10 to 15% more, but it's still close than the average amount in the direction to maintain a form of welfare toward the environment and so forth. Economy towards the top 100, and that's the first part of the same thing saying out of the top 1,000, I already went through the 100 of them. doing the same thing, like, and towards the same market value, market cap, same thing. And company like Anthem, the market cap, and then the revenue, it shows that they got, the same way with the welfare and assistance, because the billions amount they didn't put it in correct amounts. They put it in millions instead of it saying 104 billion, 213 or 214 million. They put it as 104 million, 104 million, 213,000. And that's incorrect. And BP has the same forms of welfare. That's why they hire a lot of foreigners, because it's usually helping immigration transport the oil through the Saudi government to the other nations by communication. And similar right after that, you can see these forms of communication. There's Zoom communication. And then that was assisting with the same thing of and I don't even feel like we explaining all the whole thing all over again. There's a lot of details I could put into it. With all the extra noise and all that other drama, I ain't got time to keep on saying the same thing over. Many videos I already did that same thing. Ain't nobody even, like I said on the software, nobody really listen, kid. Cause the same thing. I already said all the information. Say the same boring stuff all over again. How it coincides with the environment and how it's managed. The government and the citizens are managing already beyond the businesses and so forth. All the extra stuff. And whatever. And already beyond clearing and doing all the same things all over again. I already got business format. I already made over $130,000 a year. And already beyond that amount on an individual basis. So as each employee through the company could average twice as much as the average income. And the United States government GDP already around 23 trillion. Twice as much as that is around $46 trillion. So under the speculation of valuation already what I can manage with beyond, and that's an attempt, and not even speaking of an attempt for the video, beyond the financial services company, that's $460 trillion. That's already beyond the same thing all over again. It's a $460 trillion. Already beyond the globe, whole planet probably ends up averaging around $210 trillion. And that's already beyond blackjacking at the 21, already beyond doing the same thing all over again. 210 trillion plus 210 trillion is only 420 trillion. Already beyond 420. Already doing that again. Then already beyond the 420, 430. And already doing beyond the same thing all over. And with the revenue in General Motors at 138 billion to 137 billion, 238 million. That's about the market cap, so they can support welfare too, meaning vehicles should be accessible to people as a form of inheritance to where they should be able to have vehicles and maneuver as they please. I have automobiles, having any kind of automobile, and so forth. Because the revenue is higher than the market cap, that shows that the systems for welfare should be eligible. But then the government caused economic collapse. They didn't want to bail out the companies, so they could just get chauffeured around and Ubered around and rode around and so forth. That's why they did that. And then they want to go back and get the credit evaluation and then call it a credit crisis just so they could pay themselves for the evaluation. And that's inside of trading, because evaluating the credit and then paying the individual self off the credit of the people, with the people without getting the inheritance or privileges that they should. Not even restitution, but that's the same thing all over again. And the company's market cap at FedEx Corporation compared to the revenue is right around the same amount, showing that the welfare was put right back with the individual contractors, as you can see. So that shows that my theory is kind of correct, because the average person at FedEx, if they contract out a vehicle, they have a vehicle, just like I was saying earlier with the GM thing. Now you see, I don't feel like saying all that stuff, because it's like I could put it all together and explain it all over again, but what's the purpose? I'm going to say it, then by the time you see the truth in it, it's going to already show. If I show it by just recording it, then it's already self-explanatory. But since I'm reiterating it, then that's just reassuring the masses. So basically, with it being 70 trillion in revenue and 70 billion in revenue and 70 billion in market cap, it shows that the contracts are put through the welfare system, and those companies probably had bailouts that was requesting. That's in that format. So that's how that works. And that's completion of the welfare system. From the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. India, China, Africa, Europe, Australia, United States, South America, Canada, all the nations around the world, the Middle East, and New Zealand, and Antarctica, and all the nations, the same thing, every travel service. Right after the travel, right back, I said India, then I said Asia. That's India right there, and that's Asia right there. And that's banking right at there. All they doing, beyond doing the same thing all over again. So, there you know, I just said Australia. Look at that. Whoop. I show a straight bank. I already called him before I even show you. So it's like, what the purpose even saying if I'm already saying that showing him before I even say it and doing it? Good gracious. And there goes South America right after that, like I said, in Brazil. See? That's yes again. That's see, there you go. Ta-da. And I live listening and same thing. You see, they didn't expect you to finish, similar to Japan. They gonna say they gonna keep going. They keep going. Guess what? Finish, completed, and created the task. That's already capable beyond doing it. Saying already beyond doing the same thing all over. So now you go to the next page, and there it is. So the thing with that shows that it can already be managed through the welfare. It's already been manageable and already been explaining it and doing it and already been saying that. And the valuation I already put ahead of the market is showing that the market is already eligible for welfare credits because the government already bailed out manufacturing companies when it was evaluated that the manufacturing companies that make, whether they're vehicles, vessels, whatever, already had sustainable income for welfare, then the government and the people still bailed them out. So you could say the citizens still bailed them out. So since us as citizens bailed out companies that already had welfare, shows that they would never be on welfare. And the nations that can receive credit for welfare have already received a bailout to increase the economic performance so they can be transported leisurely. And the people that have bailed them out have inherited forms of transportation. And that's why they probably have space travel in the United States and in other nations. But as the United States mainly moving through in and out of space through the forms of inheritance, and Asia is moving through it through leisurely. So now leisurely and inheritance meet in the same place, and everybody's privileged to maneuver as they please. God shows the way, wide the way, instruction, straighten out the way, and so forth. So the kingdom of God is already seeked, and since I'm already beyond seeking it, it already has been seeked. So it's already being the same thing again. And the format of the evaluation and the welfare recipient format would be that based off of the population, they still have more leisure events to maneuver, and the population on the planet by the states still has higher leisure format. Just like Prudential has credibility to reassure the welfare recipients. And I already had the Prudential, I already on the same thing all over again. Johnson control. Indian control. Keep on. Sell a lot of furniture through IKEA. Same thing. Just like the other healthcare, similar to me all over again. Healthcare, welfare, same thing. Look, this is what I'm telling you. Look, that's what I'm telling you. It's 64,888. 64,888,000,000. Or 65 billion, just to make the rounded number on. 65 billion, and then the market cap is 52 billion. So they have a good investment portfolio to show, again, the same thing I'm already showing, a good investment. I have a good investment portfolio. So my portfolio is beyond their portfolio at Humana and other companies. So basically, it shows that the welfare is sustained, even if they go for bailouts from health crises, credit crises, vehicle crisis, and all that stuff. It's still already be there. They got the auto crisis right there. Right after that, Ford Motor Company, they went through the auto crisis. Now look at it was lower at 413 on the rank, and they moving up slightly through the ranks. Now, though the ranks in Humana is moving downward, so they're trying to cause a health crisis similar to the COVID thing. Same thing all over again. Already beyond doing the same thing all over again. And see how they got bailed out, so the money that's helping with the inheritance at $156 billion, when the market cap's at 53 billion. It shows that just like the other auto company I just mentioned, GM earlier, General Motors, they could assist with the inheritance and the forms of welfare, or leisure, and so forth. Same thing over and over and over again. There was the agri-banks, agriculture trying to manipulate the market to say, hey, let's not show the revenue, and let's just say that we got control of the agriculture. And actually, because agriculture is already inherited through the seed line of Abraham. And since I had to go back, Abraham goes before agriculture. Put that piece of skin on the land, just like Abel's blood on the land. The land gotta grow, and it ain't made from a serpent, even though it looked like a circumcised snake. I don't want to hear all that extra book. Same thing all over again. And there goes some wines and spirits right there. Wines and spirits. They want to try and talk in the drunken state. Say, there you go. There you go, y'all. Go ahead and let SC line stuff with the Asians come right back in. I already been doing the same thing. already beyond maneuvering the same thing, and already beyond doing the same thing over again. So now, with the economy mostly looking towards the banking side, then the next transition, as you see, I got this card. Look, there go one of them. There go another one. I just scored it off at 8. And then just keep on rolling. Oh, matter of fact, let me see with that banking part. Nope, I ain't gonna look at that one. Nope, that was mostly in Asia. I know all those companies mostly in Asia. So go to the next page. After a while, you look at it, you can just call the next one. What the structure gonna be? They go to bank again. They get financial group again. They go software and so forth. Bank again. That's funny. Call that JK and go to the next page yet. That's what I was trying to tell you. Bank again. Oh, that's Qatar. And guess what? Qatar's one of the... Man, I ain't gonna get into that. Matter of fact, well, let me see something. Let me see if it said on there. Nope, it don't even say it on there. It should say the Bank of Qatar is number one bank in probably Qatar, all right, close to the Middle East area. So, oh well. If you look at how much people get paid in Qatar, they probably get paid mostly more than almost any banker or person. Not banker, but they get paid more than the average person that works at a bank, put it that way. Matter of fact, if I gotta go on my way to show you, I'll just do that right quick. Look. Watch this. And it's already showing it in the dollar amount over there. But if you look at it right there, average of $162,000 to $174,000. That's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So when I already called that, really, as I actually said, it started around $120,000. So I'm already calling it off of $130,000, even with the paperwork, $133,000. I'm still ahead of them with $13,000, or 10% more than what they already got going on, is what I'm trying to say again. So then, go back, and that's out the bank. There go another one, Global Payments. And now go to the next one. And I already said banking a few minutes ago, so as you see, I must be saying something right, because it wouldn't be even showing up if I was wrong. There go another one, Bank of Mellon. That's one of the oldest banks in the United States. There you go. Called all of them jokes, cause funny. Nah, I ain't gonna say all of them, but good gracious. Look, this was Australia Financial Services. There you go again. Golly. So, if I had to say how and why, it's a long explanation all over again. Whatever, so. That's cool again. And let's go. And see how they want to sponsor it. Now, after that, they want to sponsor the privilege to leisurely travel through the forms of SpaceX. And that's already beyond satellites. So, with speculation, the satellites are traveling on a leisurely path, while we're privileged to evaluate the satellites as viewers. So now, as a viewer, the satellites are already in orbit. The satellites are in orbit, so we can still view them, but we can still create them. But there's no need to create them if we're going to just be traveling in vessels when the satellites are going to just be like GPS. So it's like creating a big GPS machine. So already being ahead of the GPS machine by being a being, like it mentions the Merkaba, we have our chakras, we have spirits. Our spirits are already beyond the vessels and beyond satellites. So we don't have to worry about that. So anyway, let's keep on rolling. And still right back around the banking thing. I already talked about the privilege side and how that coincided and went into play after it's added in the financials. Yeah, it is again, digital realty. That's dealing with finances again. Our real estate. It's not really literally banking, but still operates through those transactions. And I'm going to keep saying all this extra stuff that's not even really going to benefit me to keep on saying the same things over and over and over again descriptively. So I'm skipping off of that. Of course, it's going to go past the other side of the direction. So I'm not going to be speaking about the banking part on it. So as you see, that changed up. It's going to mostly tech side. So after there goes another tech companies, and go to the next page. Biotech is the same thing as tech as far as I can tell. And scrolling on the companies right around the top 458 at the current time. Around 460 at the current time. So even if you look at Kraft Heinz and wonder about the welfare, see how it says 44 billion, and then it says around 24,977,000,000. That's about right around that amount. That's still close enough to sustainable to help sustain it. Welfare all over again. Because helping with the food, that's the product. And then the contracts still helping with the economy and the government. So all that stuff is showing that it's still helping with welfare and so forth. And globally, not just domestic. So, yep. And if Walmart want to mention, hey, well, they doing the same thing. Well, go put some Walmarts overseas in India then. And them don't get raided. Don't be trying to file no insurance claim saying it's the people's fault and they got to pay for it due to bailouts. Because GM and Ford and all of them already got bailouts. And they ain't sending Fords and GMs over to India. So, if they are, then why they send them over there? They need to start manufacturing them there. Not to say to hurt them, but to help them. You know what I'm saying? All right, Chinese, Asia, or whatever. Same thing. And right after that, as you see, Walgreens has a high welfare recipient format at around $137 billion again, with a $44 billion market cap. So that company is usually maneuvered through government to assist with the needs of the Medicare. So that shows Medicare is a form of welfare, right? So that's what Walgreens is assisting with. So apparently if they mess with the unions, they concerned about the Walgreens. They're trying to purchase more Walgreens, but they already have like so many of them and people ain't really using them. because most of the money probably going to CVS. So now they want CVS to put money into Walgreens, and then they want to buy it into CVS, but CVS has better health benefits like with UPS. And by UPS having the most, probably always CVS, then that's daggone saying, hey, the benefits a little better. So they just want to renegotiate to get better benefits, so they won't have to worry about Walgreens. But if they ain't worry about Walgreens, then they limiting the people on welfare. So they got to just keep rolling with it, but just know that the deductions are going to probably be an average of $10 to $20, or probably like $5 to $20, something like that. Some of them might be $0 to $20, and that's still $10. So either way look at it, it's already being the same thing, doing the same thing all over again. And the revenue is easier to evaluate with the welfare because, for example, look at the market cap on that one, Chrysler. So that's at, let's say, $30 billion, right? But then the revenue is around $109 billion, or in American dollars, around $120 billion. Probably a little more. So that shows, just again, the automotive sector, they got that bailout so they can still grow with the welfare recipients. So then, as you see, the numbers going up by the ranks. They went up 521, 481. So it shows that there's less people in welfare, and it's probably more like formats, like the people working. Are they getting pensions? Are they pensioners? Are they retiring? Are they getting Social Security, drawing in Social Security and increasing Social Security? Are they getting stimulus and so forth? All those things are still showing efficiency to assist with the growth of the nations. So with the vehicles in Asia, that's helping that economy, and the United States vehicles, Chrysler is maneuvering in that direction. And there's the vehicle, automotives. Just right out there, the parts. Because I was thinking about Hyundai, like, for example, and people don't purchase a lot of Hyundais, but if they just put their money into the parts, then there you go. That's the parts. So that'll help with reestablishing vehicles that have high damage liabilities. So that helps the liability costs. And as you see, Prudential reassures it again, just like a welfare. Look, $41 billion in market cap. $40,880 million. But anyway, so then the revenue is $64 billion, or $65 billion. So that shows that that's a welfare format that assists again, all over again. And if it's a worse one, okay, it's similar to life insurance and financial services. That still helps people with their claims. And then it's usually already beyond processing. So but it already been beyond processing, and people want to make claims. Just like I said, they go a claim right there, Allstate, and this already called the same thing all over again. So you look at the revenue. Hey, look, and that even goes for defamation of character claims, because they go straight through and get claims off the insurance that people pay, or that has been paid, whether it's insurance on a phone, insurance on a vehicle. Look at it. Look, $40 billion, right? Let's say $41 billion, and then 40, it says million right there, but that's talking about the 600, that's talking about that amount, 675 million, or 676 million. But with that turns it to a billion. They just put the number million right there so they could show people that it's specified in the millions. But it's really around $44,675 million, or $45 billion USD rounded off. So that shows that Allstate has an extra around 10 to 12% of claims people could claim, whether they want to claim a suit against somebody and say somebody defamation of character of me, or they use me a certain way, or such and such and such. Those are verbal statements, you know. So the verbal statements are the physical statements, because the Allstate insurance claim still involves a physical being. So it's still similarities in it, to where if that's 10%, let's say somebody got in an accident and their car was worth $100,000. 10% of that is $10,000. So that's how that works with a vehicle. Now that money could get reinvested back in Allstate and sustain it to not complete the welfare, because people have welfare based off of their wellness. So if they have situations that cause them not to be well, then they don't have to worry about claims being put against them, because they already have claims that are processing for them. That's forms of compensation. Now, if people go out to compensate off the claim, those are like just as bad as insider traders, like I said earlier, because they taking information that they know about, that they ain't claiming they know about, they stating they know about it, and then they trying to compensate off of it by claiming you don't know what they stating. See what I'm saying? And that's defamation of character. That's like me telling you, hey man, you don't know me, but I know you, so give me some money, and I ain't gonna tell you nothing about me or what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna just take the money and say you can't have it. You know what I'm saying? That's some prison type crap. That don't even make sense. So in prisons, people are still entitled to some form of money, and in jails, people are still entitled to money beyond rationalities, because if somebody's claiming and somebody's doing statements, they're not rational beings. So we're not created to be irrational. We got to have rations. That's how, even in the military, they give the food out in rations. When I was in the military, that's weird. Hey, go get them rations, bro. Like, go get some food in your stomach. God dang. It could be fasting all day. But even Ramadan, they got the rations, and they don't start until Jesus even had rations. You know, so even though he fasted 40 days, 40 nights, he still was around ration. Guess what his ration was? His temptation. You know what I'm saying? But he knew the Lord's Prayer said to not be led into temptation. So when the devil was led to him, the devil was tempting him, because the devil is full of temptation. But the devil is irrational. You see what I'm saying? Because check this out. Backwards, his rationality is his name backwards. So if the devil's name is the devil, backwards the devil is lived. Lived. So that's his rationality. So if you know how long the devil lived, you know how rational he is. But if you don't know how long, then you become irrational. Meaning you become ill. So he couldn't make Jesus ill because Jesus was fasting. So he tried to make it rational. Guess what he was like? He was like, if you kick your foot on the stove or dash on the stove, wouldn't angels come? And then, he turned the bread into stone. If he turned the stone into bread, he was trying to tempt him and feed him. But then he tempted him back with an illness, because he couldn't harm a hair on his head, just like he couldn't harm Job. So he tempted him with the stone, and then he made it seem like the stone could hurt him, and then he tried to make the stone seem like it could help him. You know what I'm saying? Actually, he made the stone seem like it could help him because he said, that he could turn it into something similar to how Jesus turned the stone into bread and so forth. All right, you know how that was in play in that ordeal or something like that. So basically, now you see how that going to play. So anyway, that's just the basics of some of it. So by the time you think about that, and you can see that the rationality in it is that everything could be claimed, but compensating is processing. So it don't matter what somebody claim, compensating is a part of the process. So claiming is a privilege that we give ourselves. And God allows us to claim so we can see our need in him. And he doesn't need to claim us because he already has us under his wing. And his wing are his right side, is right sitting at the right side, and Jesus at the right side. So we don't have to worry about all the claims and the rocks turning it into gnashing our toes and all that. All that stuff is just part of life. So if the angels, like he told Jesus, one of the angels come flying to him if he gnashed his toe, then that means the wings is already over him and they would have to come down. He ain't say the angels are going to come from the underworld, from the dirt, and then rise up and say, oh, you hit your toe. They ain't start from the ground up. They start from above and work their way down. So when Jesus would have looked down, he would have saw the stone and he wouldn't have kicked it. But when he looked down, he would see the pricks and he just ain't want to step on it. So meaning, like they say, the serpent will bruise his head and he'll bruise the heel. So Jesus didn't want to bruise the heel because he didn't know how long it was going to be the heel. And then if the devil saw how long it took for him to heal, then the devil would sit there and spite and try to daggone keep attacking Jesus based off his healing rate. Similar to like how somebody would attack Wolverine in X-Men based off his healing rate. I mean, even if he has a form of healing, quick healing, or if a person has, a form of quick healing, a spirit has a form of quick healing, then it can't really be destroyed. Like they say in scientific terms, energy can't be created nor destroyed. So since the energy is a spiritual being, the devil had more of a, I would say, a carbon format. So it can harness energy, but it can't disperse energy well. Just like the saying that it shall be what it be, like helium can disperse, meaning it can keep on going in different areas, and so can hydrogen, but carbon usually settles. So the devil would settle on a certain place and just objectify it, but God still put the devil in the carbon footprint. But he used to walk, and then after he betrayed Adam and Eve, then he didn't walk. God said he slid on his belly, consumed the dust of the land. So if the Bible also talk about beings or animals or whatever that go back like pigs and go back and play in their own sloth and eat their own ways or the fruits of their labor shall show and all that stuff, then what do you think a serpent would go back on and slither on? A piece of carbon. What's at the core of the earth? What's near the core of the earth? Carbon deposits. So that just means people have carbon remnants that the devil is slithering upon. And since we don't eat carbon, literally, then we actually leave that for the devil. So the more carbon a person has around them, the more the devil tries to impose upon them, because the devil was trying to toxify them. So to be able to detox is less carbon. So something that would be less carbon would be like having more hydrogen around. But since hydrogen is everywhere, we never lack hydrogen. If we have more helium around, or to make ourselves lighter, God saw goodness in the light. So we make ourselves light literally. That's beyond irrationality. And the devil can't do nothing but complain through his rational state of thought, because he would know that if he got slither, he's not as light as air. Or he or she, however you want to enunciate it. The devil would slither, it wouldn't be as light as air. So the serpent would be lower to the ground. But if it's not air in it, then that's not a serpent. So that means the people that died and stuff, they're not serpents. They're not the devil. They're not even with the devil. Their air went straight to the hydrogen element. And the hydrogen element is usually farther than the carbon element. Even if it's a part of it, it still can separate itself from the carbon. And then helium can separate itself from carbon. But carbon can't separate from hydrogen, because everywhere carbon goes, hydrogen is there. But everywhere hydrogen is, carbon don't have to be there, is what I'm trying to tell you. So daggone, if the devil ain't everywhere God is, and God is all, and hydrogen is everywhere, then that means God is mostly where the hydrogen is and the helium is. And then the carbon, the more carbon is less. Like, for example, like a volcano. You know what I'm saying? God is probably not near the volcano, so that's why they're more destructive. But most of the people probably in those areas, there's probably a lot of people that were there in those areas that left carbon deposits, and their carbon deposits was probably full of helium. And that means their remnants had a lot of sinful, what is it? Like the Bible say, don't hold on to things that could rust and corrode away. They probably had a lot of those type of garments. Like they would think it was like a robe. But when they put their waste to rest, similar to like the stories you could read about online, people put their waste management in a bad spot. If it's a natural gas geyser, then when it erupts, the gas won't stop burning. And then it'll just keep burning it and it'll emit carbon monoxide. So basically, the carbon monoxide is close to the devil because it's carbon. So then the daggone carbon is what is oxidizing off or emitting oxidization off of its chemical balance or its chemical structure. So the serpent is usually balanced. It's not thrown off of balance, just like a cat. So you look at a cat and you look at a serpent in the eyes, and the eyes can, serpents have certain slights in the eyes, but cats' eyes can change from a circle pupil to like a oval, and then a sharp point straight up and down, just like a serpent. So that's how come they can stay balanced, because they probably have high carbon deposits. And if you think about it, since ancient Egypt, they used a lot of cats because they probably had a lot of carbon deposits around them, and the cats could extract the carbon and then pull it into its eye, and then straighten its eye back out to a pupil, a circle pupil. But a serpent pulls in so much carbon that people don't even know it. Like, that's how I'm pulling carbon to say daggone the dust of the land is already pulled in. It's not emitted out other than in venom or in vain, as the Bible would say. So the cats don't commit sins in vain, but the serpents do. So any sin committed in vain go right back to the carbon. And the serpent sheds his skin because he got some more stuff up his sleeve. And I just leave it like that. And y'all go discover what that means before I tell you what financial service is. Because I ain't got time to be talking to your snake ass nigga.